The Medal of Honor is the United States' highest military award for valor. Despite the millions of people that served in the military during World War II, there were only 472 recipients of this prestigious medal during this time. By June of 2022, only one of them was still alive, Hershel Woodrow Williams. His story would epitomize the battle for Iwo Jima. Having witnessed at firsthand the highs and lows of battle, he can portray far better than me the brutality and sheer terror of the fighting on Iwo Jima.
Once we got aboard ship, they told us that we were a reserve to two other Marine divisions. Probably we would never get off ship. We would be reserved to them in the event they needed us. The campaign would probably last no more than 3 to 5 days. That was the information that everybody apparently had at that time, because we had no intelligence of what the island consisted of. Certainly didn't know they had 22,000 Japanese on it. We didn't know that they had miles of tunnels dug out in the island. None of that information was available. When we got to Iwo Jima, we're parked out in the ocean waiting to see if they need us.
Occasionally a fighter plane would go sailing across the
First night, after losing so many people on the beach, we were notified we will be going in the next day, 20th of February. When we got aboard the Higgins boats to try to go ashore, we went out and circled in the ocean all day, waiting for the signal to come in, and we never did get it because there was no room. There was no room for us to land. They had them pinned to the beach. There was no place for us to go when we got there. So we went back aboard ship and spent another night. Then we went in the next day, and we're all huddled down in the Higgins boat so we can see nothing on the way in, that you can protect yourself to some extent. When they dropped the ramp to let us exit the Higgins boat, the beach was just completely covered with all kinds of equipment, blown up jeeps and tanks stuck and bodies and equipment laying everywhere. When we went off the Higgins boats, off to my left, and I'm sure everybody saw that, I don't think I was the only one, of the Marines that had been killed, they had wrapped them in their ponchos, just stacked them in stacks right along the beach edge. I've never lost that vision. We finally got through the soft ash that was there. They call it black sand, but it really is ash from the volcano over the eons. And you couldn't hardly dig a hole in it, because you dig a hole, it just rolled back in again. It was so chaotic. Crawled most of the way, but we finally worked our way up to the first airfield. The objective was that we would become the spearhead on the island. We would go across the airfield and be the spearhead to sort of split the island. When we got to the airfield, everybody is digging in. At that point, you could dig a hole because the ash wasn't there, it was dirt. We were digging foxholes to get into, and all of a sudden, the Marines around me began yelling or saying something about a flag. They were all looking back toward Mount Suribachi, and we're about 1,000 yards up the beach from Suribachi. I turned around to see what's going on, and that was my first vision of the flag flying on Mount Suribachi. It was already up, and the wind was blowing it, and it had full unfold. The reason I became the flamethrower operator is I had 6 Marines with me when we hit the beach, but they're gone. And I don't know where they are. I don't know whether they were killed or wounded, and still yet today don't know. But I'm the only flamethrower now left in C Company. We would try, and we would have to back off because they would get too many of us, or we'd have too many killed or wounded. And since they were gone, my commanding officer he called for a meeting. So we gathered in a huge shell crater. He's working out a system of how we could get to the pillboxes that had us stopped. There was a string of pillboxes they had built to protect the airfield. And we couldn't break through them. There were just too many of them, and the Japanese was in the protected area. We're in the open area. We would try, and we would have to back off because they would get too many of us, or we'd have too many killed or wounded. He's talking about plans, but then he said to me, "Do you think you could do something with the flamethrower against some of these pillboxes?" "I'll try." So he gave me 4 Marines to give me some help, protect me while I'm trying to get to a pillbox and get flame in it. I select one other individual to help me with an explosive. We called him a pole charge man. If I burned out the pillbox, he used to run in and put a demolition in it, set it off, make sure everybody in there is gone. He didn't last for just a little while. He got shot through the helmet. So I just went to work. They were reinforced concrete pillboxes. Naturally, the enemy is inside in a protected area, and the only way we can get to them is to jump up and run a ways and hit the deck and try to get close enough. And the only target that we had was in the aperture that they had in the front of the pillbox that they used to shoot out of. When I picked up the flamethrower to eliminate some of the pillboxes, I was only doing that for which I was trained.
I remember going with the first flamethrower on my back, and I'm crawling. The Japanese are shooting at me with what they called a Nambu, which is a machine gun. They had a very unique noise when they fired. But he was shooting at me with that. I'm crawling up a ditch, so I'm trying to get to this pillbox. The bullets are ricocheting off my flamethrower. And I can remember the pings as it hit. Fortunately, it was hitting the air tank between them. Why I ever continued to crawl forward instead of going backwards, I've never figured that out. And when I did, I got in a position where he couldn't lower his machine gun low enough out of that little aperture to get to me. So I got them. Yeah, that's when I released my flame, and once the flame goes through that aperture, they're done. One of the other occasions of trying to get to a pillbox, and I saw smoke curling up out of the top of the pillbox. And I decided I'm going to seek, there's got to be an opening up there if smoke's coming out. So I crawled up around, and they piled sand on this pillboxes, and it was sloped in the back, so I crawled up that and got up to where this pipe was, and it was big enough so that my flamethrower nozzle fit down in it, and I just released the flame. One of the other occasions of trying to get to a pillbox, whether they ran out of ammo, I have no idea why, but they come out of the pillbox. I just see them, and they're charging at me with bayonets. I got them I just released flame. Seeing that happen, that's very vivid in my mind, because once the flame died down, of course their clothes are on fire, and those things have bothered me all these many years. But so much of it, I really have no memory of it at all. And I attribute that to fear.
By eliminating the 7 pillboxes in the area in front of us, my commanding officer said, once we broke through the line of pillboxes, we had the advantage because they have no way of shooting from the back of the pillbox. By breaking through that string of pillboxes, it opened a lane that gave us an opportunity to continue to advance and succeed in our operation. 2 of those Marines that day, I didn't know who they were. I just selected Marines. I said, come with me, and of course, as a Marine, you do what you're told. and 2 of those lost their lives that day protecting mine. So it absolutely changed my total life. The day that President Truman presented it to me, I had no concept of what it meant or exactly why am I getting this. Why was I selected to receive our nation's highest award when Marines right beside me didn't get home?
The day after I received the Medal of Honor, we would go see the Commandant of the Marine Corps. One of the things that struck me was when he made the statement, that medal does not belong to you. It belongs to all those Marines who never got to come home. That stuck with me. Our youth, many of them have no concept of what others have done to make it possible for them to be a free country. They don't know.
The World War II generation was a tough, committed, country-loving, believing in freedom group of people. We were raised that way. We were taught that way all through school. People who had sacrificed their lives to maintain one of the most precious gifts we have, that of our freedom. The people today need to remember that if we ever lose it, we will never, ever be able to regain it.
Don't forget to subscribe and press that bell icon so you don't miss the next video.